Good day, everyone. My name is Tanya Cochran, and this presentation is an exploration of the history of marine mammals through the lens of human exploitation, charting the course from early subsistence practice to the complex conservation challenges we face today. We'll be walking through a timeline to see how our relationship with these amazing creatures has fundamentally shifted over time, from direct, intentional harvesting to the indirect, diffuse threats of the modern age. The image on the screen, while illustrating the use of dolphins in human entertainment, also serves as a poignant reminder of our close yet often controlling relationship with these intelligent animals. Our goal is to understand how we got here and what the path forward looks like for marine mammal conservation. Marine mammals represent a diverse group that has captured human interest for millennia, serving as resources, cultural icons, and subjects of scientific fascination. This presentation will take you through time examining how our relationship with these remarkable creatures evolved from subsistence hunting to industrial exploitation, and ultimately to modern conservation efforts. We'll explore at least 5 distinct threats these animals have faced, examine the legislation developed to protect them, and analyze how contemporary challenges differ fundamentally from historical threats. As future biologists, understanding this timeline is crucial because it demonstrates how human activities impact wildlife populations and how scientific research and policy can work together to address conservation challenges. The story of marine mammal exploitation is not just about the past. It provides essential context for understanding current conservation priorities and the ongoing threat these species face in our rapidly changing world. Marine mammals serve as ecosystem indicators, and their conservation remains paramount to ocean health. Before diving into the history of exploitation, let's quickly establish what we mean by marine mammals. This incredibly diverse group includes cetaceans, like whales and dolphins, pinnipeds, like seals, sea lions, and walruses, saurians, such as manatees and dugongs, and a few other species like sea otters and polar bears. What unites them in their resilience on the marine environment for survival, often involving adaptations like thick blubber, specialized respiratory systems, and highly developed social structures. The 4 images here highlight that diversity. We have a massive humpback whale, a highly social dolphin, the gentle herbivore manatee, and a coastal harbor seal pup. They play critical top-down roles in these ecosystems, helping to maintain balance by controlling prey populations. Their ecological importance is one key reason why understanding their history and working toward their protection is so vital. Our timeline begins with the era of historical exploitation, spanning from ancient times up through the mid-20th century. In the earliest phases, many indigenous cultures engaged in subsistence harvesting, hunting marine mammals like seals, walruses, and smaller whale primarily for immediate community needs such as food, oil for light and heat, and materials for shelter and tools. While the practice had local impacts, it was generally sustainable. The major shift came with the rise of commercial exploitation, beginning in earnest around the 17th century and reaching its devastating peak in the 19th and early 20th centuries. This was driven not by substance, but by global market demand. The most famous example is commercial whaling. Whales were hunted ruthlessly for their products. Whale oil used globally for lighting, lubricating machines during the Industrial Revolution, and manufacturing soap. This was a primary economic driver for centuries. Baleen, or whalebone, used in fashion for items like corset stays, umbrella ribs, and buggy whips. Technological advancements dramatically increase the efficiency and scale of the kill. The invention of the exploding harpoon in the mid-1800s and the use of large factory ships that could process whales at sea after the 1920s. That meant that even the largest, fastest whales in the remote oceans were no longer safe. This led to serial depletion, where whalers moved from one species to the next as populations collapsed. This era of direct, large-scale hunting, exemplified by the pursuit of species like the bowhead whale shown here, brought several major marine mammal populations, including many great whale species, to the brink of extinction. This slide covers the pre-1960s era, where the threat was almost exclusively direct hunting. Starting in the 1960s, we see a fundamental shift in the nature of the threat of marine mammals, moving away from large-scale direct hunting and toward what we call contemporary challenges. This change was largely spurred by growing public awareness and the implementation of major species of protective legislation. The passage of key laws like the Marine Mammal Protection Act, or MMPA, in 1972 is the U.S., and the Endangered Species Act, or ESA, in 1973 signaled a major government commitment to marine mammal welfare. Globally, the International Whaling Commission, or the IWC, moratorium on commercial whaling in the 1986 largely ended the practice for most nations, which allowed many great whale populations to begin the long road to recovery. These actions successfully reduced direct hunting as the primary threat. However, as direct hunting declined, a new set of indirect, diffuse, and cumulative threats emerged, requiring entirely different ecosystem-based management approaches. Let's look at the main contemporary issue, bycatch mortality. This is currently cited as the greatest modern threat. Bycatch occurs when marine mammals are accidentally caught and killed in fishing gear, such as nets and lines. The numbers are staggering. Estimates suggest that over 650,000 marine mammals are killed annually from fishing gear entanglement alone. This massive mortality requires innovative solutions like modified fishing gear and area closures. Chemical pollutions. Our oceans are polluted with persistent contaminants like PCBs and heavy metals. These substances don't break down easily and bioaccumulate, meaning they build up in the tissues of animals, especially those at the top of the food chain, like dolphins and killer whales. This has serious long-term consequences, including reproductive failures and immune suppressant, making animals less able to fight off diseases. Habitat degradation. This includes several factors that directly reduce the quality of a marine mammal's home. Coastal development destroys vital breeding and feeding grounds. Shipping traffic poses a direct threat through vessel strikes and indirect threat through underwater noise. Chronic noise pollution can mask communication, disrupt feeding, and alter migration routes, significantly stressing the animals and disrupting their critical life functions. Climate change, this is arguably the most complex long-term threat. Ocean warming and the loss of sea ice directly impact species like polar bears and seals that rely on ice platforms. It also causes prey shifts, forcing animals to change their ranges to find food, which reduces their overall survival and reproductive success. In summary, the transition from historical to modern threats is a shift from intentional, visible, and localized harm to accidental, invisible, and global changes that demand a holistic, ecosystem-based approach to conservation. To conclude our journey, we've seen that the story of marine mammal exploitation is a story of radical change. It starts with direct industrial scale whaling that almost erased entire populations for oil and fashion. Today, thanks to the pioneering effort of the 1970s and 80s, the MMPA, ESA, and IWC, Mortern, direct hunting is no longer the main issue. However, we face a new reality where the threats are more insidious: an entangled net, a buildup of plastic and industrial toxins, or the subtle but profound effective of a warming ocean. The challenge is no longer stopping a whaling ship. It's managing an entire complex global ecosystem. The focus now is on solutions for these contemporary problems. Technology for bycatch, developing smart fishing gear that alerts animals or reduces the risk of entanglement. Global pollution control, enforcing stricter regulations on industrial chemical outputs, and managing plastic waste as a global scale. Climate change mitigation, supporting international efforts to reduce carbon emissions, which is the root cause of warming oceans and sea ice loss. The health of marine mammals is an indicator of the health of the entire ocean. The efforts of the past have secured their survival, but the efforts of the present and future are required to secure their thriving. Conservation today truly requires an ecosystem-based management approach, understanding and protecting the whole environment, not just one species at a time. I encourage you to consider how your choices, especially supporting sustainable seafood practices and advocating for science-based ocean policy, contribute to this ongoing conservation effort. Thank you.